Hello everyone, this is Mary Ann and I'm back. I wanted to do a video about the evolution of my design of my 2 pages per day. As you know, I'm currently using the 2 pages per day like so. This is how it looks like, and I just did a video of this just a few moments ago. And I mentioned in that video that I'm going to do another video, this time about how it evolved to this. uh, I did not get to this right away. It took me a while, quite a few months, and I'm going to show you how that all happened. So first, let's start with this. This is the refill from the Midori Traveler's Notebook regular size, which I was on before I transferred to the Filofax. Now, before the Midori, I was on the Moleskin pocket-sized daily planners. That's just a regular planner that everybody uses, that everybody knows, and everybody else and his mother has a moleskin. So I'm not going to show you that anymore. But this is the Midori, and this is also when I started using the Chronodex, which was invented by Patrick Nam. So this was the very first uh, refill from the Midori that I bought, and this is also the first time that I used the Chronodex here. So this is how it is. It's really just the Chronodex and the year, the day, the month, and the day of the week printed onto the Midori Traveler's Notebook refill. What I did was I took apart the notebook. As you can see here, I just tied it all together again, but this is originally stapled. So I took out the staples and then printed the pages, fed the sheets into the printer, sheet by sheet like so, and it took me a long time to get it right. I had to test a lot of paper samples, paper sheets, before I was able to get the order right, but finally I was able to get it right. And then when I printed it onto the Midori Traveler's Notebook refill, I made it a point not to make any mistakes because these can get pretty pricey, and it takes a while for them to get to me, so I wanted it to be perfect when I finally do it, and thank goodness I was able to do it right. This is the gridded refill, which I really love with the Chronodex. So this is it. It's just the year, day, month, and then day of the week, and the Chronodex. I use the Chronodex only for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Saturdays and Sundays I always leave without the Chronodex because I did not do much then. In July of last year, I wasn't really very busy. I wasn't back in school. I didn't have an Etsy store. I didn't have any freelance projects. That was taking up a lot of my time. I just had my day job and nothing else. So Saturdays and Sundays were really for doing nothing much. So this went on until, let's see, September 1. And all of my calendars always begin on a Monday, and the weekends are always together. I do not separate Saturday and Sunday because I want to be able to plan them if ever I do have plans, which was very rare in this period. I want to be able to plan them all together and start always on a Monday. So this is it. And then on September 2, I started with a Filofax, and this was these are my archives, and I've already showed you a video of that. So let me show you just my September pages. So here are the September pages. This is the design that started my Etsy store because I designed these and then showed you a video and then asked you if you would be willing to buy that if that were available online, and a lot of you said yes. So this, I call this design 1. This design is basically 2 pages per day because I was kind of starting to get the habit of recording everything that happened on the 2 pages per day because I felt that my memory was going. So things have to be recorded in just one place for the day. I could no longer manage having to go through different kinds of files to look for different details for just one day. So everything had to be recorded onto just one place if they're referring to the same day. Here on the Midori Traveler's Notebook, I had just 1 page for every day. But because the Filofax pages are much smaller, here it's much smaller, I needed 2 pages per day, and this is what I came up with. This is the September pages. Let me go to a day that is not very cluttered, but all of them are cluttered, especially this one. Wow, oh, I was really busy. And it's a Friday the 13th too. Anyway, so let's just work with this. On this design, you have a decorative element that still showed the year, the day, the month, and the day of the week. And this, I picked this out of a vector set that I purchased. I mentioned it before in one of my videos. And to balance it out, I added this element at the bottom of the page, which is from the same set as this. On the other side of the page, it's pretty much the same, header, footer, same dates, but this is where I first implemented my idea of having tracking boxes to track water intake, moods, because I'm bipolar, and then the things that I have to do upon waking up, reminders about my son, and what I have spent for. So before I had only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tracking boxes, and that went on for September, and then I still had the same layout for October, and then let's see, what did I use for November? I began using the idea of the indie boxes because for November I was getting pretty busy, and then November was the month that I went back to school for my second master's degree. So I was already there were already more things that I had to deal with. So also I had to track my medication already. So I had to, but I wasn't really sure what I had to deal with on a daily basis. So I just printed out these and then cut them out and then pasted them on the page as needed. So for instance, this one right here. For the October pages, I did not have the tracking boxes yet for the books, the TV shows, and the movies that I watched. But for November, I got the idea that what if I just put them in there? They don't take up too much space, and it would remind me, because I write a lot and I watch a lot and I read a lot, and every time I talk to my friends and they tell me that, oh, I watched this movie like this and that, and then I say, yeah, I watched that movie, was that a year ago or a month ago? I can never remember. And it helps to remember those things sometimes, and my memory is going. So I thought it would not be too much of an effort to see if indie boxes like this would work. So November was the month in which I have tried out the idea of the indie boxes. So this is how November went, with all of the indie boxes pasted all over the place. And November was also the month in which I started trying out the HyperDex. As you can see, it's still kind of big compared with how it is now. Oops. I think these are the rejects because they're off center. See, they're not centered at all. Let me pick something that looks better. This is not a reject. See, this is not a reject because it's perfectly in the center. As you can see, the original Hyperdex is really, really big. But I found that I didn't really need it to be that big. And besides, I had to resize it to something smaller so that it will fit the craft punch that I'm gonna be using for it. That's why the Hyperdex became this size. However, it did not start out that way. It started out this big, and I printed it on the same paper that I used for the 2 pages per day, and then I just cut it into a square because I did not have the craft punch yet. I first tried it out with a Coletto pen and it looked so ugly. And then that's what gave me the idea to start using my Staedtler fine liners, because I've had a set around for the longest time. Even the label has faded and I wasn't really using them, so I thought maybe now is the right time to use them, and I was correct. These pens are perfect for the Hyperdex. So that's November. See, I have a box already for my Etsy store, but that's a lot of mess. Because I was still trying out a lot of things. Indie boxes everywhere that there is space. This huge Hyperdex. So that's November. And then December. December is the month that I started with this. So for December, because I have already used November to experiment with the indie boxes, December was the month in which I have made a decision on what boxes to actually place permanently on my 2 pages per day. And December was also the month that I got my craft punch, so December was also the month in which I have decided on the final size of the Hyperdex, which is less than 2 inches in diameter. So that's why the Hyperdexes are in circular patches for December. However, I forgot why I made this lighter than this. I don't know, I've forgotten. But I did like it. And that was December. In December I had an indie box I had a monitoring box for Etsy, university, books, movies and TV shows, prayer, spending, my son, a little heart, medication, moods, and water intake. So that is December. And the Hyperdex. Let's see. And then in January, I started with my second job. There. I started with my second job, but the schedule for my first job did not change. So I only had to put, this is an indie box again. I had to experiment with indie boxes again for January because there were some changes in my schedule that I was not really sure how to factor into the current design. So while I'm currently deciding, I worked with indie boxes again. Because I was putting up late nights for my second job, I had to track my coffee. I could not have too much. And because I was also starting to go out with friends again, I was also taking alcohol, but I cannot take too much. 2 is my limit. And the rest of the boxes stayed the same. So let's compare this with the December boxes here. You have the December boxes. It's pretty much the same, really. I just added this one for my second job, this one for my second job, and this one for the habits, which I have tried out again in January, and the coffee and alcohol intake. So that is the January, those are the January pages. So I used all of January for this, trying this out, see how it's going to work. And this keeps changing for January because it's a new team that's still trying to work out the kinks in the schedule and what would be most effective for other people to be able to work more comfortably with each other. So that's it. that's my January pages, indie boxes. And now we get to February. Oh, February is here. We get to the February pages. I've already put part of February here because it's so thick. Sorry about that. Let me just put this away. So these are the February pages. Oopsie. These are the February pages. I have already decided on the indie boxes for my day job, for my night job, and for these two, and for my coffee and alcohol intake, and they're already here in February. And I've also adjusted this to become black compared with the one in January, in which I have, for some reason, grayed it out. Did not make any sense. So for February, starting in February, the two boxes are now completely black. So that's my February. And which brings us to the next stage in the evolution of my 2 pages per day, the March pages, which is pretty much the same as the February, except that the February had teeny tiny patches of paper pasted for my night job, because in February, see, we were trying out a schedule in January, and I thought we would carry it out in February. But in February, things changed, so I had to patch up certain things right there. I patched it up with the same paper that I'm using for the actual page, so that it won't show so much, but still you can see that it's just a piece of paper that's glued onto the sheet. There. So those are the February pages, and these are the March pages. And that's how I got here. Things could change for April and May, but I don't know yet what changes will be in them. April and May is summer vacation for school here in my country, and June is when we start classes again for the first semester for the school year of 2014 to 2015. But until then, I really don't know what my planner pages are going to be like. So for now, this is what I need, and I just shared with you how I got here. So I hope you were able to get a few ideas from this video and from my other videos as well. It's been kind of fun to look back on the evolution of my planner pages, and I'm just thankful that I was able to learn a little bit of how to work with a design software, which is mainly how I was able to come up with this. You can do this in Word, but I'm not sure how anybody would do that, because I cannot do layout in Word. The software that I use for designing and layout is InDesign, together with Photoshop for the icons. And the icons are vector sets that I purchased from Shutterstock, but you can also get a lot of the vectors for free. You open the vectors with Adobe Illustrator, you manipulate them from there, and then when everything is final, you lock them into place as a JPEG file, and then put the JPEG file into the InDesign layout so that it doesn't occupy too much space. And I print straight from InDesign. And for printing, I use just the monochrome laser printer, which prints only in black and shades of black and gray. And I prefer laser because even if I accidentally spill something on it, like water droplets from a cold drink, or this, or coffee, or things like that, it does not smear at all. Even if it gets wet, it will not smear at all. So that's why I prefer laser printing for my 2 pages per day, because they get a lot of use and abuse. And also, if everything is in black, my color coding shows up better. In my color coding, I list everything down in black. And then when something has been done, I cross them out in blue and put notations here like no more checking account. So that's why I crossed it out, not because I already gave the rent checks, but because I don't need to do that because I have no more checking account, which follows, therefore, that I have to give my rent in cash, hand it over to my landlord in cash. But all other things, like for example, buy something, 28 pieces, I bought 10 only. It's been done, but I bought 10 only. I put notations there so that I'm reminded that I am not completely done with that task. I have to do it later on in the day or the next day or something. And everything is moved. When something is moved, I cross it out in pink and then stay there moved. I don't actually have to put move, but I don't know, it's a habit. And it doesn't really interfere with anything. It doesn't make things more complicated. It doesn't make things simpler either. It's just there for a sense of comfort. So there. That's why I use just black for printing, so that my color coding will stand out even better. So there. That's how this entire thing evolved. If we go back to my old Midori, I used to have a color code for this that involved 5 colors because I was using the Coletto pen that can hold 5 different colors. So I had 5 colors. Light blue is for my son, pink is for myself, green is for jobs, purple is for blog, writing, reading, and orange is for university and my significant other at that time, because in August I was already preparing to go to university. You have a bunch of oranges here, but this is just for the end of August. Actual university classes began in November, but admissions, testing, and submissions of all other things, qualifications, had to be done before that, so I already had orange on here. So there have been, that was my color coding at that time. However, it evolved to just 3 colors. Black for listing everything, green is for done, pink is for moved. And I believe that I have a video up here on my YouTube channel about me simplifying my color coding. You can go to that video. I'll also look for it and link it down on the description box. So there. This is the evolution of my design of my 2 pages per day in my Filofax, from the Midori and the Chronodex 1 page per day to the Filofax 2 pages per day and the Hyperdex and the tracking boxes. So that's it. I hope you were able to get a few ideas that you can use. If you have any questions, just post them in the comments below and I'll be happy to get back to you. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, bye!